The other question I get asked is my views on the Australian real estate market. After all, I told my investor clients, those who don't know me, my clients have made over $10 billion in the last 2.5 decades following my financial predictions. I don't give advice. It's up to people what they do with their own money. But I told people to buy Australian real estate the last 25 years. And as I have done, and I was taught by my millionaire mentor, buy a couple of properties, they'll double every 10 years. And that's happened. They've been very wealthy. Am I continuing to buy Australian real estate? The answer is a big fat no. Does that mean you shouldn't? Depends if you want to be a slave to a globalist banker wanker system for the rest of your life. I'm not saying property won't go up, but here's what you need to understand about the Australian property market. When the going's good and you've made a lot of money, cash out of it and put it somewhere smarter and safer and produces more returns. For me, I cashed out and invested into cash flow producing real estate in Bali and Indonesia in emerging markets. It was much cheaper, I could arbitrage, and that would work very well for me and continues to do so. I'm not saying you should do that, but I'm just saying you can't go broke taking profits. You can go broke though when you don't take profits. When you've done really well and you won the game, take your chips off the table. Why leave them sitting there waiting for things to go down again? It's a paper wealth. Make it real wealth. So that's what I would do. I also bought gold and silver. I used to, I bought Bitcoin from 75 US upwards, but I'm now a seller. I just did a video on that. I'm no longer buying Bitcoin. I sold out most of mine once again to buy and invest in real estate in emerging markets, not in Australia, not in the West. Australian property market here as well. It doesn't even have to crash to crash. If the Australian property market slows and is not likely to double every 10 years like it has in the past, the market's screwed. Why would you go into massive debt for an overpriced property if it's not going to double in value? You don't make money out of rental returns for a very long time. So more and more people won't be able to afford to own the properties. They're going to be taxed to death on the properties. More people have to sell it because they can't afford the land tax or property taxes or all the new taxes. And BlackRock and super funds will be waiting there to scoop it all up, and private ownership will diminish rapidly in Australia. That's where it's headed. So Australian property market doesn't even have to crash to be a crash. It only has to slow down in its growth or stop growing where it will double every 10 years, and the market is kaputing.